We're live.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order. If everyone will please rise for our Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. All right, good evening to everyone. Glad you're here for our December meeting, and we'll be meeting again next year. I told somebody the other day, it wasn't January 1st last week, so where has the year gone? Everybody with the board has had a chance to review our November 1st regularly scheduled meeting and our November 18th special call meeting minutes. If there are no additions or deletions or amendments that we need to make to that, I will entertain a motion to approve the November 1st, 2021 regular Board of Education as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right. Everybody's had a chance to review our November 1st closed session minutes. If there are any changes, we'll have to make those in closed session. If there are no changes, then I will entertain a motion to approve as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. And lastly, you will have the minutes of our November 18th special Board of Education meeting. If there's no changes to that, I will entertain a motion to approve as presented.
Motion. Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right. Do we have any additions or deletions to our agenda tonight?
No, sir, we do not.
All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion. Second.
Motion second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, thank you. All right, our matters of the public, our good news, Mr. Henry Rice.
Good evening.
Evening.
It's finally good to be able to do our good news once again. It's been a while. In the past, when we've done good news at the end, we've shaken hands. We won't be doing that today. We're still going to stay away from that, but be sure to give them a loud round of applause if you would. First, I'd like to have our three contestants come up.
Call their names.
The Pamlico County Schools Board of Education would like to recognize and congratulate 4 students: Outlay Hacker, Pamlico County Primary School; Melody Armstrong, Fred A. Anderson Elementary School; Ms. Kirsten Williams from Pamlico County High School, who cannot be with us tonight; and finally, Jila Ushtry, also from Pamlico County High School. Their renderings have been selected for use on the 2021 district Christmas card. We would also like to recognize their outstanding teachers, Ms. Holly Bradley and Ms. Kate Bennett. If you two would stand up. And finally, we'd also like to recognize their families who brought them out this evening. If y'all would stand up as well. Thank you. Okay, let's pass these out. Outlay Hacker. We have a framed picture for each of them with their drawing plus the final drawing. Melody Armstrong. And Ms. Jila Ushtry. Good job. And that is our good news this evening. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Congratulations.
Yep. Thank you and congratulations. That's something we always look forward to in December. The kids do a great job, and they have great art teachers. Thank you all. At this time in our meeting, we're coming to public comment. I do have 7 individuals that have signed up for public comment tonight. Our public comment guidelines. The Pamicro County Board of Education welcomes the opportunity to hear from the public during its regularly scheduled meetings. The public comment period is open for members of the public, including parents and students, to voice compliments, concerns, or complaints about performance of school personnel, implementation of board policy, the quality of the education program, or school facilities. According to Policy 1326, presentations are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Obscene, vulgar, or profane statements or statements reasonably perceived to be disruptive or immediately threatening to the orderly operation of the meeting shall not be permitted. So I just want to remind everyone that, again, this is public comment. It's to be handled orderly. So we have had some issues. I'm not going to call them issues, but the individuals in the audience cannot make comments or loud interjections toward the individual. So I ask that everyone be courteous of the ones that have signed up to speak so they can have their allotted time of 3 minutes. So at this time, I'm going to call on the order that they were given to me. You can come to the podium. Again, you will have 3 minutes, and what I will do is let you know that when you have 30 seconds left, I'll let you know. I'll just say 30 seconds. All right, so our first is Miss Bertha Miller Smith.
Good evening. Can you hear me well? Good. My name is Bertha Smith, retired Pamlico County Schools personnel. I am here tonight to request the board review the incident which occurred on November the 17th, 2021 with our grandchild. His mother requested that his short-term suspension be expunged, and it was denied. The assistant principal who suspended him without our knowledge, no paperwork, no phone calls, no communication at all until his mom picked him up from school. He told him not to come back to school for 2 days. Mr. Reed Snyder said he had another meeting and he was very busy at the time, so he couldn't handle the situation formally. Mr. Reed Snyder immediately assigned our grandchild to choice without notifying us. In our first meeting on November the 17th, 2021, Mr. Reed Snyder said our grandchild was suspended, and we asked that it be revoked because we had not been communicated and did not know what was going on. The principal, Ms. Lanchey from Pamlico County Middle School, said she had to make a few calls that night and we could come back next morning for a final decision. The next morning she came in to me and she said, we will have a conference for 10 minutes or 2 hours, and she met with Mr. Rice. And I told her I would sit there if it took a half a day. We have had 2 meetings to request the suspension be revoked and expunged because our grandchild disengaged the first time the other student pushed him. According to the North Carolina School Violence Prevention Act GS 115C 407.5, the State Board Policy HRSA 007. Our grandchild got up from the ground kicking backwards. He was not kicking forward. He was on the ground on his stomach. The student grabbed him again by his hoodie and swung him to the ground the second time. Our grandchild got off the ground and hit him with a little stick about the size of this ink pen, smaller than a ruler, because he was afraid the child was coming at him again and he was disengaging himself. Mr. Henry Rice honored Mr. Riff Snyder's decision to suspend our grandchild, saying in the meeting that he would be suspended because he picked up the stick. After our daughter followed protocol.
30 seconds.
Excuse me?
30 seconds.
After our daughter honored protocol he was not, they did not give him the expulsion. All we ask for tonight is that you, the board, view this as deemed necessary. I have 2 audios of the meeting, and we just want to take a stance with this, that it would end prayerfully and righteously. Hopefully, we will not have the media get involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next individual, and I'm not going to try to say your last name because I don't want to mess it up. But first name is Anaya. Anaya. Okay, I messed your first name up. Sorry.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ania. I'm sure you're familiar with my face, you know. But I came here tonight. I had a couple concerns as a parent, as an adult that is involved in the community, involved with the children in our community. I'm very involved heavily with them. So I had some concerns. My concerns are that the intern position for African Americans and Hispanic staff is not good enough. We need official administration staff that will have permanent positions. Secondly, it is very important that our African American teachers that was denied lead teacher positions, that was qualified, be hired as lead teachers. Can you imagine to dream and accomplish the challenges that you were faced with to come back to your community, your home, your childhood, to teach our leaders of tomorrow, to be denied, to be a positive influence in children's life? What are dreams if it determines our skin color or culture styles worn in our hair does not get us the job we need? A job that is near, in town, close to our own families. Let's change this path we are on to a positive, considerate, equality and diversity direction. Thank you for listening while we watch to see it happen. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker, Ms. Karina Smith.
Good afternoon. I'm here as a parent, concerned citizen. I worked here over 5 years ago and have seen at least 5 administrators of color, 4 coaches, and in the last year, at least 5 teachers of color. They shouldn't have to apply. They should be promoted. They're your very own. You are not just doing students of color and injustice, but all students. The world is a different place outside of Pamlico. In order to be successful, you need to be well-rounded. And in order to be well-rounded, you need to be seeing every person of every color. You do not know what they're going through or what they're doing. When you go home, in a lot of these areas, you won't see anybody of color until you come to the school. These teachers work hard to get their associate's degrees, their bachelor's degrees, and you had some teachers' assistants that had their master's degrees, working hard with families and full-time jobs. They should never have been able to leave in order to be rewarded. It seems to me that you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. You have to do better. I love living here. I moved here from another area. I would never leave Pamlico, but I had to leave Pamlico. As a custodian here with my associate's degree, I was not awarded a position. I was told that the only way that I could become a teacher's assistant, I had to drive a bus. So basically you were telling me, with my associate's degree, as far as I could get was to be a custodian. I couldn't be anything else. I had to leave Pamlico County to become a supervisor at a college for custodians. But here in Pamlico County, all I could ever be was a custodian. I don't understand how you could I know teachers' aides that have lived here all their life, that have homes, pay taxes. I would have never thought would have ever left Pamlico, but they have left. And you have to realize something's wrong when you have that many teachers of color leave since, first of all, since I worked here, which was over 5 years ago, and since this year alone. Something's wrong, and you got to do better. They should not have to apply. They should be rewarded, just like I know some of you guys have been rewarded and didn't have to apply. I know this for a fact. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker, Ms. Vicki Mosley Jones.
Good evening. On November 19th, I submitted the NAACP, I'm speaking on behalf of the NAACP Education Committee Chair. I submitted a letter to the board chair and to Ms. Jackson requesting permission to be on the agenda again this week. And because we believe in open transparency, we want everybody to fully understand the reason we were not placed on the agenda. I stand to read the request that was sent back to me by Mr. Prescott. Dear Ms. Mosley Jones, I am in receipt of your agenda request dated November 19, 2021, and the additional questions documents you provided with the request. The purpose you cited for requesting to be on the agenda at the board's December 6th meeting is to continue our discussion of the concerns expressed to you by the minority community on the issue of diversity in the district. Like you, the school system wishes to continue the discussion. However, the monthly board meeting is not an effective forum for such a discussion. At the board meeting, the board has an agenda of business it needs to conduct to operate the school system. As such, this issue cannot be given the time and attention it deserves or that thorough consideration requires. In the midst of the board meeting, in addition, the board meeting does not provide for a mutual exchange of questions and information. Said another way, this issue cannot be addressed completely and capably at the board meeting. For these reasons, we will not be adding an agenda item for you to present at the December 6th board meeting. You, of course, may still sign up to speak at the public comment portion of the December 6th meeting. We agree with you that it was clear at the November 1st meeting that further discussion is necessary. In a good faith effort to dedicate adequate time and attention to a mutual exchange of concerns and potential solutions surrounding the issue of diversity in the school system, we would like to schedule a meeting between members of the Pamlico County Schools Administration and up to 5 members of your organization. We believe this discussion should happen soon, so we have made members of the administration as well as the chair and vice chair available for this meeting. Wednesday, December 8th at noon or Thursday, December 9th at noon. Please let me know as soon as possible which of those dates will work best for you. In the meantime, though it was not written as a public records request, we are willing to treat your list of questions as a public records request. We are in the process of gathering any requirements, any responsive public records to which you are entitled. We will get as many of those to you as we reasonably can. Finally, I wish to address the last question on your list of questions. There is no opportunity for audience participation or interaction with the board at board meetings. Citizens may address the board one at a time through the allotted public comments process. It is important that speakers be allowed to make their points and board members be allowed to listen carefully without noise or disruption. As is the case with the board meetings attendees, anyone willfully interrupting, disturbing, or disrupting the board meeting will be directed to leave. A willful failure to leave when directed is a Class 2 misdemeanor. It is absolutely necessary that the board be able to conduct its business free of disruption, interruption, or disturbance. Anyone with remarks they wish to direct to the board has ample opportunity to make those remarks in the designated public comment period following the proper process. This is particularly important now that we have citizens who have been forced to attend meetings virtually as a result of the pandemic. I hope this clarifies the law and our policy on the issue of attendance. Ms. Mosley Jones, we very much welcome your organization's input with regard to concerns and equally as important with regards to solutions related to diversity in the system. We want to discuss the issues with you in a forum where there is a viable opportunity to make progress on understanding and attacking any issues. We hope you will accept the invitation to partner with us and stand united in our efforts to address any diversity. I just wanted to read this so that there would be no hidden agenda and open transparency. And thank you, Mr. Prescott, for that response.
Okay. Thank you. I did let you go over so you could finish the letter, but thank you. Our next speaker, Ms. Vanessa Cole.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Everybody pretty much said what I was going to say. But what I wanted to say is, when I came to the school, it was lots of diversity. And there is no way on God's green earth, nobody's seen this coming. No way. Even when people started leaving, there was no way, no one saw this. And if you did not see this and did not address it, it needs to be fixed from the head all the way down. Because we have leaders that cannot lead because they are not able to see the problems and issues that can occur with our black and brown children. Now, for the past couple of years, I've been in the background. I've been in IEP meetings where children have failed 2 or 3 times, Hispanic children, and I had to be the one to say, give them an IEP. And the teachers didn't say a word. I've had children, I had a tutor for the past 2 years, even during COVID, because they failed their grades. And I'm still wondering, as Pastor Pearson said, how in the world did we get here? I can speak because I've been working. I can speak because I see the children. I can speak because half the children I've had in my care. And I've seen children come and say different things about the school. I've even heard whispers of even the teachers, administrators. Half of them are scared and bullied because some of the administrators walking around thinking they own Pamlico County, when Pamlico County is owned by no one but the citizens. And half that are coming into Pamlico County don't even stay in Pamlico County and have higher positions than the ones that lived, worked, and got degrees in Pamlico County. And again, everyone said what I wanted to say, but I'm praying that something changed very soon, because like it is before, this is not going to stop. It's going to get worse. And before it gets worse, as they said before, Pamlico County going to be on the map. I'm finished. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker, Mr. Douglas Pearsall.
Good evening. Thanks for allowing me to speak on this evening. And the young lady, Sister Hope, just before me, she asked the question, how did we get here? And I asked the same question myself. Maybe it was because about 6 years ago, there was some chatter in the community about we got to take our school back. All over the community, we've got to take our school back. Or maybe because the district is well balanced with equality and someone wasn't satisfied with that. Or maybe diversity is not good for all children. Or maybe someone wants to put a team together that would control hiring practice to accommodate special interest groups, not realizing that it might look like nepotism. Or maybe the system don't want to be face-to-face exit interviews because they cannot collect any type of data that they can use to hamper people from leaving the school. And more, maybe they forgot that they are bound by Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. I'm going to read it to you. Civil Rights Act of 1964 is a landmark of civil rights and labor laws in the United States that outlaw discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, national organ, and later sexual orientation and gender identity. It prohibits unequal application of voter registration, requires racial segregation in schools and public accommodation, and employment discrimination. The act remains one of the most significant legislative achievements in American history. This is a violation in institution that I just read could have a problem of retaining their federal funding. Because when you're out of compliance with these Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, you can lose your federal funding. Thank you.
Okay, our last speaker, Ms. Diane Lemieux. I'm not sure if I said the last name correctly or not.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thanks for this opportunity to speak. I'm speaking tonight as a citizen, public citizen. I am a retired educator though, so I have a lot of opinions and experience with education. So I have a couple questions, a couple suggestions. The first one is regarding your hiring procedures. How and when are vacancies posted? And is there a parent position on the hiring committee? Another question is, what system do you have in place to receive and consider feedback from the community? If none, would you consider creating one with community leaders? And last question is, how was the community involved in the creation of your 21-22 strategic plan? The rest of my comments are based on the data that you did send out, the diversity data about students and teachers and administrators. After analyzing the data, using your data on Black students, teachers, and administrators, the following situations in diversity and representation need remediation. The primary school has 17% Black students and only 3% Black teachers. Excuse me. Fred Anderson has the highest percent of Black students of all the schools, 22%, yet not one Black teacher or administrator. Pamlico High School has 18% Black students, yet no Black administrators. Using your data on Black, Indigenous, and people of color, which is called BIPOC, or an abbreviation, BIPOC students number 347 in the school system. BIPOC teachers comprise only 16%. And BIPOC administrators comprise 30% of the total students, which is a better match. But I find that 4 of the 6 BIPOC are in the central office, not exposed to children, and none are at Fred Anderson or the high school. I strongly suggest that you delay the approval of your strategic plan for 21-22 until measurable goals on hiring, diversity, and retention are
Ms.
included.
Lemieux, 30 seconds, okay?
Oh, gosh. Neither your goal or objectives on hiring diversity are measurable, and there's no goal on retention or promotion of diverse staff. So in addition to your goals, I added 2 objectives. Ensure that the ratio of Black and BIPOC teachers and administrators meets or exceeds the ratio of Black and BIPOC students in each school and in PCS overall. And the last one, retain qualified Black and BIPOC classified staff, teachers, and administrators through transparent hiring procedures that include parent representation, promotion, and grow your own. And thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Can I leave this with you?
Yep.
Thank you.
As always, we thank the public for their comment, and we always encourage public comment. So thank you to our 7 speakers that did take the time to speak with us tonight. At this time, we're going to move on to our superintendent's report. Ms. Jackson.
Good evening, everyone. We'll start with item 3.1, our membership report. And then you have that in front of you, and I have one thing I do need you to change. You see at the primary school, we have a +1. Fred Anderson Elementary, a -3. The middle school, a +3. And the high school, it says a 0, but that actually is a -2, for a total of -1 since last month. Next, item 3.2, update on the new boardroom at the central office so that we don't have to meet in the auditorium anymore. So we are getting very close to that building being finished, and I don't know if you've had a chance to come by and take a look at it. We were hoping to be in there by January. To be safe, our plan right now is we're going to call February will be our first meeting there. There's a lot that has to happen over Christmas break with contractors for the audio and visual, which is the main thing, so that we can continue to live stream our board meetings like we're doing now. And even though that was something we added because of COVID, it's given a lot of people more opportunities to participate and watch the board meetings that did not come before. We used to have no one, not even news media. That stopped. We had no one except just the board members and the employees. And so it is good to have more involvement. So we are looking at that being available for our use for board meetings and other things at the February board meeting. And then our current boardroom will be a conference room, meeting room. The next item on the agenda, item 3.3, you were just emailed tonight letters information that was on the agenda actually from the last board meeting, but we took some things off. And that is information about our new letters training that we're going to have, and to keep Ms. Dixon from having to come up here and give you some information on that. She's agreed to actually have individual meetings with the board about that letters training. So we'll be getting in contact with you by the end of the week and schedule individual meetings, because we know the whole entire thing is huge. And there'll be different pieces that will be interest to different board members based on, what their expertise are. Or if they don't know anything about it, then you might need to know a lot. And it's very confusing, and I learned a lot last week when I was at a meeting. I was texting Ms. Dixon, asking her some questions. So she's going to be, one of us will be getting in contact with you about some meetings soon, but just read that email that gives more information about her presentation that she was going to do last month. I have nothing for miscellaneous 3.4, and then that gets us to our principal time. And not to put her on the spot, but we're going to start with the primary school. Actually, I'm not going to do that to you. This is your first board meeting. We'll start with the high school. And Miss Brandy Holton. You're welcome, Ms. Cartermore.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks. I appreciate that. We've had a lot going on between October, when we didn't share in November, and then all through November. But in essence of time, so that we can spend a little bit more time on our school improvement plan presentations. A big thing that you may have noticed when you pulled up this evening is that our sign was delivered, and I appreciate very much Mr. Harrison getting the sign installed. We are currently working with Sign Command, which is the software that the sign information goes through to make sure that things can be uploaded both with a USB drive as well as online. The next thing, we got some really exciting news this afternoon for 2 of our students, and I wanted to read this brief statement that was posted on our social media accounts. That 2 of our students have been selected out of applicants from both Navy and Marine JROTC programs nationwide to receive a scholarship for the Commander of Naval Air Force's Flight Academy. The scholarship will cover the cost of the program, travel to and from their assigned universities, and room and board for the duration of their activities. The CNAF Flight Academy is a private pilot summer scholarship program. It is 8 weeks long and is conducted at partnering universities nationwide. Upon successful completion of the program, students are awarded college credit and an opportunity to earn their private pilot certification and license. We are extremely proud of that. Out of only 20 scholarships that were awarded nationwide, 2 of them came from our high school, from right here in Pamlico County. So we were very excited to hear that. We heard that right after school ended this afternoon. And the last thing goes along with that. Master Chief and Commander asked me to remind our board members of our annual Area Managers Inspection and Pass and Review. That's this Wednesday. Our doors open for seating at 9:40. They ask that you be seated by 9:50, and the inspection begins at 10 o'clock. And if you've never been to one, it is a beautiful sight to see. So we welcome you on Wednesday and at any time that you'd like to come visit us.
Thank you, Ms. Holton. Ms. Lanchi from the middle school.
Good evening. So we've also had a very busy couple of months at the middle school since the last time that I shared out with you all, but for the sake of time, I'm also going to share just a few of the highlights. Our November staff members of the month were Rebecca Blackman, she's one of our EC teachers, and Wendy Williams, she is our data manager and bookkeeper. In November, our 8th graders went on their first field trip in 2 years, so that was very exciting for them. To Festival Park in Manio. They were able to visit and participate in live exhibits in which they learned about and explored the struggles of early colonization. They also learned a little bit more about the mysterious disappearance of the settlers at the lost colony of Roanoke. In November, we also began implementation of Heroic Hurricanes, which every teacher gets to nominate a student who exemplifies the characteristics of a cane as outlined in our PBIS matrix. The following students were nominated in November: Cassidy Bluff, Aiden Broughton, Jaquan Coffey, Dawson Force, Kylie Freeman, Tyler Garner, Quamori Miller, Kashmir Allison, Kylie Rodriguez, Zariah Squires, and Wyatt Johnson. For December, we have just started basketball and wrestling season, which is really exciting for our student athletes. Last year, they were not able to participate due to COVID. So we are really excited about being back in season again. This month, Waikisha White came and held the first of the middle school United Nations meetings with our students. And this is just an educational opportunity for students to learn more about global issues. They take on the roles of diplomatic representatives to the United Nations, and they consider current international concerns. So we're excited that has started back up. And lastly, to kick off Christmas break, next week we're going to be celebrating Christmas Spirit Week, so we're excited about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lanchi. And now Ms. Alexander from Fred Henderson.
Good evening, everyone. So many great things have happened at Anderson since our last principal's time in October. In the month of October, we had an incredible turnout at our first ever family book fair and outdoor movie night with over 62% of our students and families attending. We watched It's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown outside on the big screen. Our PTO provided a hot dog meal for all of our students and their families, and they got to shop at the book fair as well. Our October All-Star Staff Member of the Month was our nurse, Miss Christina Warren. Our October Students of the Month, who were nominated for having good judgment, we do a different character trait every month, were Liliana Lee, Taylor Truesdale, Madison Bell, Bentley Paul, Laura Aguilera, Melody Armstrong, Camden Centers, Haciel Perez Mendoza, and Lisette Velez. November was even busier for us. Our 5th graders took their first field trip of the year to Camp Donley. They took part in the Coastal Communities Environmental Education Program. They were able to participate in a Tidal Creek study where they were able to canoe, and they dissected squid while studying marine invertebrates. There were many more hands-on opportunities for them to experience science, but the squid and the canoes were definitely the highlights for our students. We also want to thank Camp Donley. They provided this experience for our 5th grade totally free of charge for us, so we were very grateful for that opportunity. We also held our very first school talent show in November. Our 4th and 5th grade students were able to showcase their very many talents to their teachers, peers, and families right before we left for Thanksgiving break, and it was the best thing we have done all school year. Some of the acts included gymnastics, comedy, lassoing, dancing, performance art, animal noise imitations, card throwing, and of course, lots of singing. And we were all blown away at just their many talents that they don't always get the opportunity to show us during 7:30 to 2:40 in a regular school day. So it was great to see our students shine in many different ways. Our fall Girls on the Run team had a really successful 5K to wrap up their season with 10 girls completing the 5K run and lots of families and community members out to support them. And then students from our high school, PCHS, the Career and Technical Education courses, and other members from our community, they came over to Anderson to host a career day for our 5th grade students. This was also a huge success and provided our students with the opportunities to see many different careers, as well as the courses that we offer that connect students to those careers in high school through our CTE program. We would like to thank our very own Miss Ashley Cephas and Mr. Sean Carowin for coordinating this wonderful event for us. Our November Students of the Month were nominated for having integrity, and those are Michael Rowe, Diana Lugos-Ramos, Amelia Brothers, Finley Cow, Reed Smith, Evie Wall, Nariah Allison, Akira Benjamin, and Isaiah Gibbs. And as of now, we are just closing out the calendar year and enjoying all the fun that this season brings for all of our kids. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alexander. And last but certainly not least, our new interim principal, Ms. Sharon Carter Moore.
Good evening, everyone. Since this is my first board meeting, I wanted to take a little bit of time to introduce myself. My name is Sharon Carter Moore. I was born and raised in New Bern, North Carolina. I wanted to tell a funny story, but after my second read, not so funny. So I'm going to stop there and just say it is an honor and a privilege to serve our kids and this community. And also standing here tonight, it is a dream realized. At Pamlico Pamlico County Primary School, we are working together to strengthen our core, reflect on our practices, and build community. Some of the highlights include revising our master schedule with the purpose of extending our planning times, strengthening our collaboration efforts, and analyzing data to make better informed decisions. We have successfully organized a food drive. We have successfully organized and carried out our first trunk or treat. It was exciting, it was massive, lots of candy, lots of pumpkin carving. It was a success. We are also prioritizing community building. As you realize, there have been some changes over the couple weeks. And we just want to work on building community. We are gathering and utilizing stakeholder feedback in the building and outside of the building. We are conducting a spirit week for staff and students. We have organized a 12 days of Christmas, fun activities and interactive activities for staff. It is a hoot. Every day the staff is looking, what's next, what's coming next? And so we're just building that community. We are having a door decorating contest, and we would love for some of you to come by and take a look and cast your votes. And we are partnering with our PTO. I'd like to thank each and every one of you tonight for your comments, for your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Carter Moore. Ms. Carter Moore, come back. Don't sit down quite yet. She just introduced herself. Does anybody have anything they want to say to Ms. Carter Moore? I know y'all were asking if she was going to be doing principal time, so I thought you might have something to say.
Thank you for your willingness to step in, and I hear great things.
Thank you very much. It has been challenging, fun, but I tell you what, our staff and students have stepped up. I get up in the morning excited to come to work, excited to see those faces. They are bubbling with joy, so it is really an honor to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
And she has done a great job. She kind of got thrust into the principalship and has just taken the bull by the horns and has done an outstanding job. So really, really proud of her. So thank you very much. Now you can sit down. And with one more thing, that will be all for my time. I just want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and just great holidays. And I hope that everyone will spend time with family and friends, as I know now more than ever that time is the most important. So with that, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
So, I always offer opportunity after principal time. If there's anything any board members would like to say, now's the opportunity. I will say, I'll say that on Saturday morning, myself, Mr. Delamore, Ms. Robinson, and Ms. Jackson, we attended the building dedication for the Pamicro Community College, Ms. Ernestine R. Maddox Center of Excellence. It was an outstanding ceremony. It was a fitting dedication to a very authentic lady that served this community well. So, fellow board members, if you get a chance, it's a nice facility, and it'll be there, and it is there for our kids, our students who are taking college and career-ready classes through the community college. So it's a very nice building, very nice. So, and it was an absolutely perfect day, perfect weather, and everything went well. Any other comments from any other board members?
It was well done, and the only problem was facing that sun. I wish we could have been back to it instead of, it was hard to see what was going on.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
It was a well-done presentation.
Yep.
And the young man, well, he's not a young man anymore, that did the portrait, did a good job.
Kane Best.
Kane Best, yeah, Kane is outstanding artist, outstanding. Any other comments from the board? All right, we have no items on our consent agenda tonight, so we're gonna move into, our instruction time and 5.1, school improvement plan, so I'm gonna turn that over to you, Ms. Jackson.
Dr. Patrick.
Or Dr. Patrick, I'm sorry.
And then the schools will handle that.
Uh,
It's okay. Do you have something to say prior to them coming up? Because I know ours is after this.
I really don't, so if they.
Okay, sure. That's
Okay.
fine. I didn't know if you wanted to introduce them. Then we will start with the primary school improvement team, and then move right on to each school.
Good evening. My name is Shannon Wing, and I'm a kindergarten teacher at the primary school, but I'm also this year's school improvement team chairperson. So I'm going to give you a few highlights from the 2020-2021 year. We are proud to say that our third grade EOG scores were above state average, putting us at 52.6% efficient or proficient in ELA. And our EC subgroups were above the state average as well in both reading and in math. Our goals this year will be to have 75% proficiency in K-2 state assessments as well as our M-class assessments by May, and 75% in our third grade EOG scores on the reading EOG. In math, we would like for our school to be 75% efficient on K-2 assessments, as well as our third grade EOGs and NC check-ins being at 65%. In some ways that we're going to do this, we're back in school 5 days a week,
Yay.
so that should help. Also, we're going to be, like I said, in class, we're doing K-3 this year, which is a benchmark across the board in reading. Some of our grade levels have done freckle math, which is new for them. We're implementing school-wide standard-based common assessments that are going to be some data-driven things to help our math time. And we're doing our MTSS framework with Ms. Michelle Brown, which is a multi-tiered support system for students who need it. Thank you.
No?
Oh, any questions?
How does the teachers and
Pull it closer.
How the teachers account for the fact that even though the scores were not good, as they were not statewide, how do you account for the fact that your scores were well above the state average, your achievement levels?
I think that we're glad they were above the average, but we want to keep going and see what we can do to get them better. Focus on the lowest area and move that in the right direction.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Ann Wood. I'm the media coordinator of the library lady at Fred Anderson, and school improvement chair as well. So the changes for our current school year are listed at the top for you on our one-pager. And then our school improvement plan was really carefully formed. We used data from student achievement, parent input from the surveys, teacher working conditions survey from our staff, and input from our current FAA stakeholders, including parents. We believe that these goals that we've set will continue the growth that's already happening at Fred Anderson this year and provide a positive impact for everyone. So if you look at your one-page handout, I'm going to summarize this for you since you have it in front of you, but Dimension A, dealing with instructional excellence and alignment, the goal is to grow in reading and math, and we have those percentages outlined for you. We like to see an increase by 11% in reading and 12% in math for fourth grade, and then fifth grade students to increase by 15% in reading and 17% in math, and that's just looking at trends from last year. A 4.01, below that echoes the goal. A 4.06 deals with the social emotional piece because we know how critical that is to helping students achieve. Dimension 2 for our professional capacity for our teaching staff and our teaching support. By the end of this school year, our instructional staff will participate in ongoing professional development, focusing on areas of weaknesses that we identified by the EOG testing data from last school year. The focus will be on teaching informational text for ELA and teaching fractions and measurement for data for math content teachers. So 2.03 and 2.04 echo that goal. Dimension E, that is talking about parents and guardians and community involvement in the school. And on the back, that just kind of goes along with it. So E 1.06, that's just talking about communication and two-way communication with parents and guardians for expectations about the curriculum and what they can do to help support their student at home. E 1.11, that's addressed through our individual conferences. We have one-on-one conferences that happen at the beginning of the year between all of our teachers and the parents, and then we have another opportunity in the spring. Do you guys have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good evening. I am Sharon Gibbs Long, 7th grade math teacher and PCHS class of 2001 graduate. For the school improvement plan, we met as a team with one representative from each grade level, an elective teacher, and our school social worker, data manager, and administration. Through our initial meetings, we completed a data analysis and comprehensive needs assessment, then discussed where we were as a school and targeted those goals in which we needed to focus on. Through the teams, we were then broken down into smaller teams and dissected through each goal and offered our thoughts on how we could achieve those goals. The objectives are in red on your paper, and they explain how we will work towards the goals. If you do not have it in color, each goal has 2 indicators listed to show how we will meet each individual goal. Dimension A, we are a TSI school, meaning we need to provide targeted support and assistance to our students with learning disabilities. We achieve that through NTSS. NTSS will focus on these students who are low performing and have research-based classroom strategies to reach these learners, such as small group instruction and the use of win time, which is called What I Need. Proficiency will increase to 15% for ELA and 18% of math due to our school consistently exceeding growth. Now we want to focus on the students achieving at or above grade proficiency on the EOGs. While deciding on the goal, we did not do a complete overhaul and do a comparison of the local data due to COVID impacting the learning environments during the course of the school year, and it would not be accurate to compare a normal pre-COVID school year to the last years where students were not face-to-face 100% of the time. Instead, we actually compared our EOG scores and data to the state average and chose the increased proficiency goals from there. We also took into account the number of students who were proficient last year, plus the number of students who were on the bubble or close to passing the EOG. For Dimension B, is teachers are going to give instruction in the social emotional learning curriculum through the second step curriculum. Through this curriculum, students will learn about the growth mindset, how to control their emotions, thoughts, and decisions, and how to create relationships and approach conflict with their peers. Dimension C, professional developments, will be content-specific and dedicated to learning-specific strategies used to increase student performance, such as ELA will have small group instruction and increase independent reading stamina. Math will have small group instruction and teaching expressions and equations. These goals are very specific based on the local data from last year and where we could improve. For example, the students' EOG math data showed students struggle with expressions and equations. Therefore, the professional developments, which suggest research-based strategies on how to improve the gaps in that area, will be taken into account. Dimension D is increased family engagement by offering one activity per quarter for parents and guardians to engage in their child's curricula. They plan with the teachers and to share information for what students can do at home and school to support the goals of their child. We really are focusing on getting all of our stakeholders involved in revamping and discussing our current mission, vision, and goals to focus on serving our current schools' needs and represent our community as a whole. This seems like a lot, but there are goal teams in place to ensure accountability for each goal and the indicator to be focused on. The goal teams are there to ensure the accountability for each goal. So we're going to focus on the indicators as a goal team, and then that holds everyone accountable. Everybody has a piece of it in our school. All teachers, every last teacher is on a goal team. Because if we're doing the work together, anything is possible, because PCMS, we're one team. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Dana. I'm the English teacher for seniors at the high school, and I'm also the school improvement chair. I want to talk about, as you see on our one pager there's all things that we are working on this year, but I did focus on some of the challenges and successes from last year, which we are building on and moving forward. So I think we all experienced the same types of challenges with COVID and being in school part-time and virtually, but one of the main successes that many of us saw last year, with even the struggle of having half our classes at a time, was the intimacy and the fact that we built relationships with our students that we before were not always able to do based on classroom size. So that was probably the number one takeaway from last year that enabled us to do that. And we can see that to our surprise, some of the positives that came out of, we actually had our work keys, which is one of the areas we look at with our graduating seniors. It was at 89%, which was for silver and higher, which is a great number considering we were at virtual halftime. And then Math 1 actually was 7.8% higher than the state average, which, as we all know, the numbers weren't great across the state, but when you improve that much in Math 1, that's great. Also, our graduation rate was 91.6%, which, considering, like I said, what we were working with, we were able to not maintain probably the highest, but that was still a surprising graduation rate considering. So with all of that, we're looking forward to even more success this year. We feel like every student can grow in whatever area. We're looking at a 15% growth in all our state report card areas that we have. We're also looking to see that every child can grow, whatever that may mean for that particular child. So it's not based on a number, it's based on a number for that particular child, which leads what we're doing for our students this year. And our primary focus is to look at our learning loss that we've had from the years, and we are doing that with the math and English tutors that we have in place. And they're able to come into the classroom, help with struggling students, which we have identified using MTSS processes and being able to focus in on those losses, so hopefully that they will be successful. Because success at the high school level, we're looking at them being able to pass courses and being able to graduate on time with their cohorts. So those are the things that we look at. Also, we're looking at, as one of the techniques, is implementing the UDL, which is the Universal Design for Learning. And this is in conjunction with the EC department. We've had teachers go through that process and training, and now they're training our staff on how to have small group instruction, and which that sounds kind of like you would think you would be able to do that, but at the high school level that becomes a little more challenging, but we have found great success with the classrooms that are using it. And it goes back down to building that small, intimate kind of atmosphere to be able to work with students who are struggling and even ones who are excelling as well. So with that kind of focuses on our SEL, our social emotional learning, which we all know it has been a major issue for not only students, but I think staff as well. And we're focusing on creating a community within our school and hopefully creating an atmosphere at the high school that we kind of lost through COVID, where we get to celebrate different things, having spirit weeks and having an opportunity to celebrate the things that we're doing well all through that. So with all that, you see our goals that we have, and if you have any questions. Okay, thank you.
So as you can see from the principal time and then from the school improvement presentations, there's a lot going on in the schools, and while we know we have work to do, we're doing a lot too, and I'm very proud of the work. And like I said, we got lots to do. So just like the school goals, our district strategic goals also will contain goals from the 5 dimensions, which are instructional excellence and alignment, leadership capacity, professional capacity, planning and operational effectiveness, and families and communities. So with that, Dr. Patrick's going to come up and talk about the district strategic goals. Yes.
Don't we need to act on those first, You got a motion?
Our agenda, there is a motion, so we can act on it now, or we can wait and act on both of them after the
You
complete.
can do it as a joint motion or a motion for each.
Dr. Patrick, you can go ahead and come up.
Yeah, we'll do it jointly if that's okay. It is down here separate, you're
Yep.
right.
I was going to
Good
make a
catch.
comment that I feel really good about the quality of academic leadership that we have and the presentations that we heard. All these people had their act together and knew what they wanted to say and said it clearly. So it was very impressive presentation.
Thank you. Good job, school improvement chairs and principals.
Good evening. I will say that the work of school improvement is hard work. It's very hard work. It's a lot of work on the behalf of these principals, their staff, and their representatives. But this work done well will do exactly what it says. It will improve schools. So I applaud everyone at the 4 schools who've been doing this work already. We're in it together. You all are doing the lion's share of the work, but again, the district is here to support you however needed. You will see the document that was presented to you with the 21-22 district strategic plan goals and objectives. It's here tonight for your consideration and approval. The superintendent has outlined the 5 dimensions, which include developing and enhancing quality educational and instructional programs to improve performance and enable students to meet their personal, academic, and career goals. District and school leaders participating in professional development aimed at their personal and professional growth. Attracting, recruiting, retaining, and developing a highly qualified staff to achieve the district's mission, vision, goals, and objectives. Providing and maintaining appropriate instructional resources, support services, and functional and safe facilities for our students. And promoting, facilitating, and enhancing parent, student, and community involvement in district educational programs and activities. You'll notice that our plan does not really include specific numeric targets, as those items are best captured most appropriately at the school level, and you've heard that information from them firsthand tonight. Among the objectives in the district plan that I think need to be highlighted, or I believe are important for us to highlight specifically tonight, by June 2022, the district will increase the percentage of graduates enrolled in post-secondary education and the number of students who graduate career and college ready. We will hire teachers who are appropriately certified in the areas in which they will teach. The district will aggressively recruit teaching candidates, especially in high-need areas that reflect the student population. And the district will continue to collaborate with community partners in establishing additional programs to support students. So, like I said, the hardest part of this work is at the school level. We do kind of filter some things top down, just to let them know where the district focus is, what the district priorities are, but they do the lion's share of the work. We are here to support them in their pursuits. So, thank you. Any questions? Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Patrick.
I'll just echo Mr. Delamore. Great presentations with each school and our district. it's glad to have, it's good to be back, I'm gonna say, to a normal, everyone back at school, and we can really focus on these plans. I will say this also, they are living documents, so they can be readdressed at certain times throughout the year if they need to be. So just on what we vote on tonight doesn't mean that's it. It is a living document. It can be adjusted if needed. Any other comments from the board? If not, then I'll entertain a motion. We can do it in one motion to approve our school improvement plans and also our district plan.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right. Again, thank you. Great presentations. A lot of hard work there. At this time, we're going to move on to Mr. Curtis is ready. We finally got a budget, don't we?
We do.
It's been signed, and has it been 3 years now that we finally have a budget that has been signed by the governor?
That is correct, 3 years.
Yep. So we're moving on to finance, 6.1, Mr. Curtis.
All right, thank you. Tiffany is handing out a handout for item 6.1, which is a budget amendment to the capital outlay fund. And I'll go over this briefly. At the top are the revenues. You see an increase in revenues due to a fund balance appropriation. And if you look down at expenditures under the second line, you see an increase in the technology budget as well. The reason for that is at the end of last fiscal year, anytime we have any available state funds, we try to spend it on either local expenses or capital outlay expenses. If we don't spend that state money, it reverts back to the state. So we had some money available in state funds that we were able to move some of Dr. Johnson's technology purchases out of capital outlay to that state program. So that saved him basically $73,000 that went into the fund balance as of June 30th, and now we're going to reappropriate that for him for this year. Also under the expenditures, you see some increases and decreases in some of the other line items. This is basically due to either items aren't needed or purchased with other funds, or maybe quotes were either a little higher or a little lower than what we originally had budgeted last spring when we put this together. So the capital outlay budget was $433,000. We're increasing it by $73,000. So the new total budget for capital outlay will be $506,000. Any questions on that?
If there's no questions, I will entertain a motion to approve.
That's the briefest he's ever talked.
Very informative.
Thank you.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve the budget amendments to the capital outlay fund and other restricted fund as presented.
Yeah, we there'll also be restricted fund, other restricted fund date. I'm gonna wait on that.
You gonna wait on that one? Okay.
I don't have that one ready at this point in time.
Okay.
I think next month I'll be able to share a whole lot more information with regards to the budget amendment.
Yeah, and that's my oversight.
Yeah.
I was just, sorry about that. So we'll need a motion to approve the amendment to the budget resolution as presented.
Motion. Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6.2, Tiffany's going to hand this out to you. This is the budget calendar for the 2022-23 fiscal year. We're not even 6 months into this fiscal year, and already we're planning to start the budget process for next year. So this is the calendar, pretty much the same as we have done in years past. Starts in January with sending out budget requests to the principals, directors, getting their information together as far as what their needs are, and then go over those and kind of sort through some of the things, and then we start special budget meetings. And as you can see on this one, March 21st, is the first special Board of Education meeting, and there are 3 of those scheduled. The second one is April 4th, actually before the regular Board of Education meeting, and then the third one on April 25th. I do have in there a possible breakfast meeting with the county commissioners. We were not able to do that last year. I think that's good that we're able to get them the numbers earlier on, so they have more time to look at that and hopefully include some of that in their budget numbers. And then at our May meeting, I will present the local current expense and capital outlay budgets for approval to the Board of Education. And then on May 16th, make the formal presentation to the county commissioners. I know a lot last year during the process, Ms. Jackson and I went to a lot of their budget meetings of the county commissioners. Kind of got the indication they'd like to get the numbers a little sooner than what they got them last year. I think a lot of that's because we didn't do the breakfast meeting with the county commissioners. I do have down there that the dates and times are subject to change. So if the board would like to, we might want to look at possibly moving this calendar up a little bit and try to get things to them a little bit sooner. We'd have to do just look at the dates and see what would be available. You basically have to do it at their second meeting in April rather than the second meeting in May. But as of right now, I want to go ahead and get this approved so I can get these budget forms out to the principals and directors in January when we return from spring break. Any questions on that?
Okay, if there's no question, I'll entertain a motion to approve the budget calendar for 22-23 fiscal year as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving into our agenda item 7, governance, 7.1. Discuss COVID-19 protocols for Pamlico County Schools. Do you want me to start this, or do you want to?
You can. It's just required that we vote every month on whether or not to have, to change our masking policy. And so that's really what this is about. I mean, I'm glad to answer any questions. We've been optional mask for about 2 weeks now, since the 19th, I think was the day we started. And you get the numbers every day. And we did not really see any increase at all until actually today from the weekend. And if you track where they came from, there were 4 that were exposed at home and 4 that were unknown. They didn't know where they got it from. So no one that they could trace it to school. So we're not seeing any increase right now. And if you look at the numbers from today, we have 6 students that are positive and no staff members. And that's actually up from Friday was only 3 students and then no staff members. So in 2 weeks, we haven't, holidays are coming. I get that. We did just have Thanksgiving too. But right now, there's not been a significant change at all. So that's really, unless anybody has any specific questions, we're still testing if we need to. If someone has symptoms or if someone thinks they might have been exposed, we'll test them to make sure. And that's been very helpful. And I think as long as we can continue to do that, that'll be very helpful to trying to keep it at bay as much as we can.
Do we have to do anything?
We have to make a
Yeah, we
motion.
do. We vote to either keep it where we're at currently,
Or to change it.
if we want to make any changes.
I make a motion that we maintain the current policy of optional mask.
It's a policy. Mhm.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Agenda item 7.2, dress code.
Our favorite subject. So if you remember, a few months ago, I think it was October, Mr. Prescott, this was put on the agenda because he had received a couple of emails from students. There've been a lot of other things that have kind of taken priority in discussions with this, and I'll be honest, I think consistency is key. And I think the fact that the principals are being more consistent with their dress code consequences, not just within the school, but district-wide, I think it's made a huge difference. I haven't heard as much complaining from really anybody. Now, I did see a kid walking into school with pajamas the other day, and then Henry and I looked on the educator handbook, and I think she had gone to choice or gone home or whatever the next consequence was for her. So someone got her, so thank you for doing that. So you might want to talk about, because it does say this is for the board to discuss if there needs to be any changes or not. And I told the principals to be prepared in case you ask them how they felt about it.
Yeah, so that was going to be my first question. I did receive a couple more emails not too long after that. but I haven't received anything else since then. So I think the biggest issue, I believe, was gonna be with the holey jeans, and then was it leggings? So I see principals shaking their heads. Feel free to, Ms. Holton, you're shaking your head big, so come on up, talk to us.
In particular, at the high school level, it's more so holes in jeans, because a lot of jeans that are being manufactured now have holes in them, whether they're skin showing or not. Some have almost a layer of jeans with another layer of jean on top that is frayed, and that sort of thing. And to stick with the way the current board policy is, absolutely no holes. We've had some students who have jobs that they wear their clothes from school to their jobs. They get holes in their jeans. Their parents don't buy them new clothes. They're on their own to buy those clothes. So I know that at the high school level, it would be nice to have administrative leeway in terms of if, there's an appropriate, not a lot of skin showing, nothing like that, it still looks professional. We just have a lot of students who are kind of in a bind, whether it be because they can't afford pants that don't already have holes in them, or because a lot of the fashion right now does have holes in the jeans. So that's the biggest thing at the high school level at this time, and I have lots of students asking for that to be a little bit more lax in terms of absolutely no tears or frays or any of that sort of thing. Yes, ma'am.
I was reading over the dress code policy.
Kathy, turn your mic on. Let me get her-
I think just pull it closer.
Or pull it up closer, yeah.
Is that better?
Yes, ma'am.
6402.4, and it does say the principal or designee shall have discretion to determine whether a particular violation shall be handled informally or whether discipline shall be imposed.
Right, and that's with the consequences, though. The infraction is still an infraction. That's with how whether it's an in-school or out-of-school or whatever, but still, it's a violation of the dress code based on the current policy. And again, I think it needs to be consistent. Like, if she's gonna allow holes, then everybody needs to be able to have holes, because they're all shaking their heads. And I just think we just need to be careful about a lot of skin.
I want our students looking professional and being prepared for life after high school. That's my job they're serving as their leader, is to make sure that they're ready for the next step. So I certainly would not allow for inappropriate things to be worn to school. I still want them to look the part, but a little bit of leeway would be nice to have.
So my question would be, how would you gauge between holes? Who is to decide what's appropriate and what's inappropriate?
Size of the hole would obviously be part of it, and location. Some of the holes that we're seeing that we're not allowing for students to have them because they are holes in their pants are below where their shorts are required to be. So that becomes an issue because it's still a hole in their pants.
So are you for the holes, or you are against the holes?
I'm for them as long as, again, they are not inappropriately placed, inappropriately sized. But again, that gets into a lot of semantics. But I would like to have that ability as the principal to provide my students with examples of what looks appropriate, what does not, and then be able to have those conversations instead of just saying, period, no, it's not allowed.
In other words, it's just a question of decent and indecent.
Yes, sir.
If I'm not mistaken, I have a principal and district leadership meeting next week, maybe. I think we do.
Yes, ma'am, on Wednesday.
Okay. Would you like for the 4 principals and the district leadership to come up with an acceptable whole policy or not? And then we go ahead and, we can get that to you then, and we don't have to have, you can sit down.
I think the other issue was tights, wasn't it?
The leggings.
Or leggings, yeah.
leggings,
And that's
whatever
more
you call them.
with
I
the
call 'em
younger, I
tights.
think they were asking in the younger schools, because they're not allowed right now with leggings, and so they're not allowing them to, but they're saying these are little girls.
Oh, my granddaughter, we went out and bought all new stuff, so she's decent now.
I mean, that seems to be the
No-
two main
no
things.
skin tight stuff and all that.
Was that the only two things brought to your attention in the emails that you received?
Yeah, yeah. Any other comments from any of the other principals as far as, so with primary school or Anderson, as far as the leggings, any comments from y'all?
I would like to see leggings, approved for students at Anderson. And it's not an inappropriate look, really, at Anderson. So it's what a lot of our girls are comfortable in, it's what they can play in on the playground and move and run and, you know, it's not inappropriate at our school in regards to what me and my staff think. So we would love to see that approved for our girls to be able to wear those.
I think what Ms. Jackson said would be to meet with let the principal sit down and come up with a
And just
whatever.
focus on those two things? Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
I wanted to ask Ms. Lanchi at the middle school and Ms. Holton at the high school, would you agree with what Ms. Alexander is saying about the leggings?
Yes, ma'am, the leggings are actually not against dress code as long as you're not replacing pants. So we don't have a ton of issues at the high school level with them trying to replace their pants.
You can wear leggings, but with a dress, not with a shirt. And I think Ms. Alexander is saying she wants them to be able to wear it with a shirt because they're little people. So it would be a little bit different, I think, with the
Well,
older kids.
I think the principals can have discretion on that.
Okay.
And if we need to change the wording on the
Perfect.
leggings, with the holes in the pants, I think it's a little bit more delicate. And way back when, we said the more details you put in this, the
Yes.
more difficult it becomes. And the problem is if you say, yes, we'll allow holes, then, you know, at some point, like Ms. Robinson said, you have to decide, you know, how many holes. Well, if you say no holes at all, then I can understand what she's saying, because if a child is playing on the playground and they rip a tiny little hole in their jeans, the parents can't go to New Bern every time that happens and buy new, you know, I understand that. Parents can't do that, and so I do think there's a very fine line, but I think parents do, principals need the discretion for that. I do agree that there's some cases where it's inappropriate, when there's so many holes in the pants.
But you open up a door, because who are you to say that that's inappropriate for me to wear? Myself personally, I like holes in my jeans. I'm just saying, I don't know how you would gauge who makes a decision of what's appropriate and what's inappropriate.
I've seen these dress policies changed over the last
Well-
50 years 100 times.
And I think we need to decide, what is our purpose in it? Is it about skin showing, or is it about looking different at school than they do on a Saturday? Because, I mean, I was at the high school and I heard someone say, you can wear those on Saturday night, but you can't wear those here.
So the way the policy reads, 6402.3.8, holes, tears in shirts, blouses, bottom wear, or any attire is prohibited. So if they have a rip in the shirt, technically they're out of dress code with that as well, or anything.
Yes. And you know what?
It gets, oh yeah.
Another thing, at this point in the year, when the kids have already bought all their
Right.
clothes, it's kind of hard to make a significant change in any policy. I don't think it'd be fair to parents or the kids, if they're paying for their own clothes, to have to go out and buy a new wardrobe, so.
Well, what it means for someone is they can wear the clothes that they have, that they've got at home already. They'll wear what they wear on the
Right.
weekends to school that they can't wear now.
So Ms. Dunbar and Ms. Robertson, I think what I hear both of you saying, and I agree, so either we either say no holes or we say holes. Is that,
That's not what I'm saying.
I mean, no, you're saying either, well,
I'm
some
saying-
discretion, but then we got to define. how to.
Well, one alternative would be, right now, even the shreds, like you said, it could be that you have this big shred, but there's a patch or jean material behind it. But that's not allowed based on this current policy, that all of us weren't even in these positions when this policy was written. A lot of us were not. So, that could even be a start, as long as the skin's not showing, but, because a lot of the kids, that's what they have, is the shreds, that there's not skin underneath it, it's another material. But we can talk about it at the principals meeting and come up with something and, to present, if you want to do that. But that's up to you. It's supposed to be your discussion. Sorry.
Ms. Robinson, you still
I
got something on
think
your
that,
mind?
It could go either way, because you can actually wear the leggings underneath, but you're looking at the males as well. What are you gonna do with the male?
Yeah.
I just think it's, something that's, need to be back on the table again.
I was just thinking about what Ms. Holton said about if a child works and gets a little tear in their jeans, or if a child's playing on the playground and gets a tear. I think we should overlook that, but.
Probably so, but
if
that's
there's
not the majority of
excessive-
what we're seeing. That's not what's happened, and I think all four principals would say that that's not the situation.
It's the jeans that they're buying now that just have great big holes and they're all over the place.
I don't know how you would really word it in a
Yeah.
policy, but I think excessive large holes would be inappropriate, but
Yeah.
I don't know how you would put that in a policy and enforce.
Well,
it.
and we didn't even address this at the beginning of this year. We just had a bigger fish, so we let it go. And what we were having was parents were saying, at this school, this is okay. At this school, it's not. Is it okay or not? So that's why it was brought here, so that we could have some consistency. And we do need to do that. It shouldn't be okay for, the sister to wear them at one school and then the other sister can't wear them.
But age appropriate enters into the whole thing. Would, like, for example, I call them tights, you call them leggings. Kindergartner is quite different from a middle school.
You asked a middle school with that. Gotta fight.
And Ms. Alexander did bring up a good point in that, we might say, well, for the little girls, this is okay. But then you think about the larger girls, that's the only thing that they can fit into and feel comfortable with too. And, it's a tough decision. It really is, because I think sometimes the cases are specific to the situation with the student.
So is the board okay if we let them draft some new language that we can look at and discuss, or
Draft some new language, I think.
we can look at it, we can say yes, we can say no, we can leave it like it is, or make drastic changes? Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
What was the,
They're gonna draft some language that we can look at our next meeting.
that'll work.
Mr. McCotter?
Yes.
Okay,
I like language.
all right. So we'll discuss that some more in
The next month.
in January. Agenda item 7.3, discuss Pamlico County School Board redistricting. So as we all know, with the 2020 census, all counties and state and national have gone through redistricting. We know the county commissioners have approved resetting their boundaries. So we have the option to do what the county has done, or we have the option to do our own boundaries if we so choose. So so we do have to, we do need to make a decision tonight, and we have had discussions on this. So I'm gonna open the floor to any discussion from any of our board members as it pertains to our redistricting lines. So if we have no discussion, I'll entertain a motion to either approve that we follow with the Pamlico County Commissioners in the lines that have been set by them, or we can entertain a motion if we do not want to do that and we want to look otherwise.
I move that we follow what the Pamlico County Commissioners approve as their districting lines.
Okay. We have a motion,
Second.
Second.
motion and a second. We got 2 seconds. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Agenda item 7.4, discuss building plans and information provided by our architect. So we all had some meetings last week. I think they were very good and exciting meetings. On our vision of moving forward, I call it our 50-year plan, and getting our school facilities where they need to be for the next 50 years. I think that's a great vision for us to have. I think the main thing right now that is pressing or pushing is in the budget. There are grants now available that we can qualify for to receive a large amount of funding to help us move forward in this. Our first step with this needs to be an RFQ. Steve, remind me what that stands for. He didn't hear me.
Request for qualifications.
Request for qualifications.
I'm not Steve.
Steve, did you hear me?
Everybody wants to say quote, but it's not, it's
So
qualifications.
request for qualifications. Ms. Jackson, any comment or?
Well, based on, I did sit in on the meetings last week, and we had a lot of very good, rich discussion, and if anybody wants to talk about any of the things from those meetings, because I know, you just either met 1 or 2 at a time, we do need to move forward with a request for qualifications in order to be considered for a large amount of money for a grant that would help us to bring a new school building to our district, which we know we so desperately need. And we would need to go ahead and put out that RFQ as soon as possible.
How long will it take you to prepare?
I can have it done in a day or 2, tops.
You need a motion from us to do that?
I would take a motion.
Yes.
That's what they want you to do.
Yes, if you want me to go ahead and prepare that, and district leadership, I might need some help. But yes, I would need that, and then, because we'll need to advertise for, I think, a couple of weeks, and, there's a timeline process that we did talk about in that meeting, so we need to go ahead and get started as soon as possible so we can get these qualifications in from different folks and then kind of move forward. But that's the first step. We can't do anything else until we do that.
Mr. McCotter.
In the past, when we've looked for a superintendent, the Department of Public Education, or DPI in Raleigh, has a bulletin board where we can advertise. Do they have similar facilities for advertising for architects?
I'm not sure. There's a couple of mandatory places we have to put it, but I will definitely find out. I've got to do a little bit of research tomorrow.
The point I'm trying to get to is that we need to put out as broad a search as we can, so that we are not limited with just one particular
Right, and
thing.
that's a question I had in our meeting, and I want to give everybody an opportunity if they want to make comments from your individual meeting as well. That was one question, and there is, I don't know the right way to describe it, but there is like some, as Lisa said, some sites that it will be put at where it's kind of like a list, I'm gonna call it a listserv, how they work, where architects from all over the state or wherever will see that.
And at the same time that we're looking for an architectural firm, I think we should consider looking for a project manager who would work as a project manager from the school, be the go-between for the architectural firm. We can look for them. It doesn't mean we have to hire them, but we can look to see if we can come up with a good project manager.
Great point. Yep.
I concur.
Yep. Any other comments from others with their individual meetings?
I think me and Mr. John had spoke earlier about the safety and security with what has happened with the shootings. And we were looking at how beautiful it was with all the glass and stuff. That would now look like it may be another issue.
And so Kathy brought that up to me in a conversation earlier, and I said,
And I think they're right, but I don't think you can make a bulletproof school.
yeah.
I mean, if a computer gets inside, it's not gonna make any difference.
I beg to differ.
I
That's
just
why
don't
they
think it
lock
will
the
make any
doors, so
difference.
they can't get in. If you got an open area where it's plain view, don't you think they're gonna take that more so over a
No, I
locked
don't mean
door?
necessarily an open school. I mean, open areas are part of most new schools, and you can still have security. I'm sure there's security that the architects can plan for, even in those open environments.
Those collaboration areas.
Yeah.
It's something I think that we could bring up when we, choose an architect, because that's extremely important, like you said, at any time, but especially right now with everything that's been happening.
Yeah, and that was my comment to Kathy earlier. I think right now the most important thing is our RFQ, so we can get the ball rolling, so we can get our paperwork in for these grants, because in the meeting I was in, it's like, okay, this could be, it's not gonna be a one-time opportunity, but it might be the best opportunity for this county at this time.
It may
And
be
It might
the
be 20,
only
30, 40 years
opportunity.
before we have an opportunity like that again.
All right, can I make a motion?
Mr. McCotter's got a comment.
I have a question. I haven't gone over the legislation thoroughly enough to determine what type of time frame. What is our timeline on getting the request submitted?
Normally, that application process is due in August, but they are looking at moving it up, and we don't know yet, because it hasn't opened yet, but it'll possibly be June, so we've got to get rolling.
Well, we need to get it in.
Right.
Because
So we
there
can
will
be
be a
prepared.
queue
Yeah,
of
Mhm.
people who are
yeah.
requesting funding, and we want to be as close to the front of the queue as possible.
We
Absolutely.
hit all the targets that they're looking for this money, for this grant. We hit every single one. I think there's 7 of them, and we hit them all.
Okay, when we put an RFQ out, there may be somebody at DPI who could give us some guidance on how to submit the RFQ.
Right.
Right, yeah.
And we
And
can
I-
walk you through the RFQ process. We've done that with many, many, many other school systems.
Or Rachel.
Yeah, yeah, Rachel can do it.
The RFQ process, we can definitely help manage that for you.
And I think just for clarification for our audience, we have the potential for 50 million, which is,
Still find that hard.
yeah. But that's why I said it could very well be, the opportunity is now, and we need to be ready, because the middle school's flooded twice. We have other schools. I mean, as a whole, our primary school is our youngest school, and it's over 20 years old. And if we can get this, and I think, as Lisa just said, we qualify for everything. I even spoke with Senator Sanderson on Saturday, and he's in full support, and I told him he'll be hearing from us. So I'll echo what you just said, Mr. McCotter. We need to get the ball rolling so we want to be first in the queue, not somewhere in the middle or last. So, any other comments or questions on that? So I think what we need is a motion to move forward with the
I make a
RFQ.
motion that we move forward with the RFQ.
Yeah.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Great, outstanding.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Can we please go back to the whole issue?
Yes, we can. We'll back up.
I gotta bring it back to the table, because I was thinking, and I'm all about fashion, but when I think about how far we've come as a school to make sure that our children come dressed appropriately, it's an open door for something else, because, you have some guys that like to wear their pants
No, we ain't going with that.
down below, and we make them pull them up. I'm just saying that we're just open the door for something else. So for me, the holes are no. I'm sorry, not at scope. I just want to make sure that you
Yep.
don't stop.
Yep, I
As
understand.
far as the pants concerned, Mr. Lanier took care of that last week as well. You have a hope.
There you go, we come a long way.
Yeah. So I meant to do this when I was doing I'm just going to embarrass somebody because I didn't mention her Saturday, but Rosé, I see you out there. One of our class of 1988 members, this was at the event on Saturday, and there was a lot of class of 1988 members there because that was the greatest class to graduate from Pamicro County High School. Ain't that right? Yep.
Or maybe because Laverne was in that class, maybe?
Yep.
That's right,
That's
that's right.
So, Mr. Dudley?
Ready?
Yes.
I move that the Pamlico County Board of Education enter into closed session to consider confidential student matters as provided in NC General Statutes 143-318.11A1 and the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act 20 USC 1232G and GS 115C-402, confidential personnel matters as provided in NCGS 143-318.11A1, 5 and 6, and 115C-319, and to consult with the Board of Education attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege as provided in General Statute 143-318.11A3.
Have a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right. All right. Out of closed session, so I need a motion to approve the personnel report for action as presented in closed session.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Let's see, that's that one. I think that's the only one. Yep, so we had no out of district. Our next meeting, I'll see y'all next year. And so I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We'll meet on January the 10th. Need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion second, all in favor, raise your right hand. We are adjourned.